There is a student an administrator at Coppell ISD, and there was a sting operation from a group called Accuracy in Media. Now, we've used some of their material before. They've done some interesting undercover stings at different ISDs in the area. So this isn't our first touch with them. They seem to be fairly reliable, but let's just go ahead and put some legal separation. This is all reportedly, supposedly, whatever. We're not 100% this is true or whatnot. I don't know why they lie about it. They've never been busted before. But let me CYA for all the lawyers out there listening. That's a legal term, CYA. But this guy, he's going to be in trouble here because he's bragging about going around the law that was passed in Texas, banning CRT and certain specific curriculums in Texas public schools, and this guy is bragging about getting around that. And this is crazy because whether or not you believe in this, the curriculum, there's a law against it. It's illegal. You're bragging about breaking the law. Why do you guys... Anyway, the guy's name is Evan Whitfield. I'm sorry the audio is kind of muffled because it's on a secret camera filmed at an awkward angle. But here he is bragging about getting around the state law that's supposed to ban critical race theory in Texas schools.
I was worried with, I guess, Abbott passing laws and rules on what teachers can teach. Does it really end up affecting people on the local level? I know where you're politically, but it's like you have to learn a MAGA version of history instead of an accurate depiction of real-world events.
One thing that I love about this district is, despite what our state standards say and despite what, is going on, we do what's right for kids.
So the Abbott orders or whatever from a few months ago aren't really going to affect anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The line is where we've gotten around it by saying, we're just not teaching that. We kind of tap dance around calling it anything, because that's, if I were to say Coppell is teaching the NGSS science standards, the national next generation science standards.
Okay.
If I were to publish that on our website, that's when we would get a call from TEA.
Really?
Yeah. But are we still teaching NGSS-ish? Absolutely.
So they can't really control what's happening?
No, we just do the right thing at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, can't the teacher just close the door and teach what's right?
Man.
I think that's what I'm told before. We teach what's right.
Man, that is so wild. Did you understand all that? I'm sorry if you're like in the car listening on AM, like an hour and a half in any direction. That might have been a little hard to understand. So let me just reiterate some of the stuff that was in there. I mean, the stuff at the end is what blew me away the most. It's like, at the end of the day, can't you just like close the doors and teach whatever is right? Meaning the stuff that's banned, critical race theory. And he had pointed out one of the curriculum packages that is used in all but like 8 states in the country. And that's specifically banned here, and he specifically mentioned that one by name, NSGG, whatever it's called, National Standards or something or other. So it looks like we have evidence right here that the guy, Evan, who is in charge of the curriculum, Coppell ISD's director of curriculum, talking about how the district, not how they're going to get around it or how they could get around it or how they're thinking about getting around it, how they've already gotten around it. This looks like a guy is admitting to breaking the law. What do we do about that? I don't know. Homeschool, private school, keep an eye on these guys. But look, I don't know what the teeth are in this law, but if that law says someone needs to go to jail for breaking it, how much more compelling evidence do we need? If that video does turn out to be legit, and I have no reason to believe it's not, how bad do they need to teach our kids critical race theory and white people are evil and America's evil and all this other stuff that you don't want them to be learning? I mean, school choice, just as fast as possible. Can we get that, please? Because look, maybe you want to send your kids to that school. You should have the right to do that. But the problem here is we're all forced into the same prepaid government monopoly, and now we have to fight over the curriculum instead of having the choice ourselves. I mean, is there a better excuse for school choice? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. What should happen to this guy? Do we throw him in jail? I mean, that sounds like a weird solution. How about we just teach what the Texas Department of Education says. How about here's an idea, follow the law. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. My next guest, you've definitely heard of him before. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's back on the James Show. And I'm loving this, Ken, because I was talking about this earlier in the show, the case against Coppell ISD. I played the audio from the undercover video of the guy bragging about getting around the new Texas state law against certain curriculum. So tell me, what happens next?
Well, obviously we saw that too, and that's a little bit of a problem, violating state law and sort of flaunting the fact that you're not going to follow state law. So we sued Coppell ISD today for violating that state law, which stops them from teaching critical race theory. And so anyway, we'll just pursue that in the Dallas courts. And our goal is to get an injunction which would prevent them from going forward with teaching what is considered illegal under Texas law.
Well, let's talk about what kind of punishment he's facing. Is this the first case we've seen under this law?
I think it is. I feel like we've done some of the past, but it hasn't been anything recent. It's been something, it seems like it was a year ago. We did one other case like this, but we haven't had, you don't always have people report or even have video of a school district flaunting Texas law. Pretty good evidence.
Yeah, no kidding. So did he get arrested? Is he in jail? Or is this like a civil lawsuit situation?
It's a civil lawsuit. It's the legislature. The only thing they have given me the authority to do is to stop it. Just an injunction. There's no consequence to this person or to the school district unless once we get an order from the judge, which we should eventually, stopping this teaching of critical race theory. And once we have that injunction in place, if they violate the injunction, the judge can issue whatever consequences result from violating that. But as it stands now, the Texas legislature doesn't really have any much of an enforcement mechanism or any kind of punishment. It's all just an injunction to stop the bad behavior. So
this guy's not going to go to jail, or is he going to get fined? I really have no idea what's going to be on the other end of this case.
So that ends up being local district. They will decide if they're okay with this person violating state law and doing it, pretty bluntly and openly. Then they can certainly allow him to stay at the school. Now, should he stay at the school? I mean, if I were a parent in that school district, I'd certainly want some consequence for somebody openly violating state law and knowingly doing it.
Ken Paxton, I'm not hearing a whole lot of teeth in this law. What's the incentive for people to not break this law in the future if this guy's just going to get a slap on the wrist, if anything?
Almost none, other than you get stopped if you get caught. But as far as who knows, most of these people don't get caught. So your greatest risk is you get caught and they stop you from doing it. But that's what the legislature's put in place. And my job is to enforce whatever they put in place. I don't get to write the laws anymore. I'm not in the legislature. It would be nice if there were some negative consequence associated with violating state law.
Yeah, that kind of seems like it would be more effective, too. I'll talk to state reps about that in future interviews, Ken. But the other thing that makes me think of you is all these swatting incidents. They swatted Juanita Broderick. They've swatted all kinds of conservative influencers. You got swatted last year. Your response?
Well, look, I mean, this is dangerous, and it's obviously meant to put people in great danger. So when you have law enforcement potentially breaking down your doors with guns, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, somebody could react in self-defense, not knowing what's going on, but certainly create an intense moment if you happen to be there. And unfortunately, I was out of town, and fortunately, they went to my neighbor's house to check on my house since no one was there. It was over Christmas, and we were out of town. So nothing bad happened. He stopped them from breaking our door down because they were literally contemplating breaking the door down and going in because they'd been told horrible things had happened at my house. So yeah, there ought to be severe consequences for doing that to people because you create such great risk. Plus, you put law enforcement at risk. You put all the first responders who showed up at my house at risk. And frankly, there ought to be a fairly significant consequence for doing that.
What is the consequence for it now? What happened to the guys that did it to you?
Well, they couldn't trace them. They did it through some phone that was untraceable. So nothing happened. We don't know who did it. And so some of these people are pretty good at hiding their identities. But I don't think at the time there were any laws related to swatting because it was such a new phenomenon. I don't know if the legislature has contemplated anything this session, but maybe when you have those state reps on, it's past filing deadline to file bills, but it's certainly something that they could add as an amendment to another bill.
All right. Ken Paxton, I appreciate your time, and thanks for jumping on. Keep an eye on those guys. These teachers, man, they don't care what the law is. They just insist on teaching this stuff that the voters clearly don't want.
That's exactly right, and it's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate right now. The only thing we do is stop it if we find out about it.
All right. Well, there's your neighbor and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton on the James Show. I appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool stuff. By the way, Ken Paxton is a guy, I've seen him go to events and just take questions from the crowd, and some people will be kind of hostile. Yeah, well, what do you say about this? And he just answers them. So this guy, even though I don't agree with him on all the political things, I agree with him on most political things, and I've seen him face more scrutiny than most guys in public life. So kudos to him, and we'll keep an eye on that for you. I look forward to some juicy updates on what happens there. This next story, I have just nothing but admiration for this scenario here. And, on one hand, like, this guy has game. But on the other hand, he didn't really have game. She's the one who accelerated the conversation in an interesting direction. Viral video happened. It's from someone's Ring doorbell camera. And a guy's coming to deliver groceries. If you've ever ordered groceries online, some dude comes up in their regular old car and pulls it out of their trunk and puts it on your porch, and then they're on their way. And then after that, you probably never see them again. Well, that's definitely not what happened in this scenario. This guy who delivers groceries ends up scoring a date. Listen to how this worked out. Oh, and let me go ahead and describe the situation here. First, the woman, she sounds kind of old. I don't know if she's smoking Marlboro Reds or whatever, but she looks like she's 25, maybe 30. The guy dropping it off looks like a regular. Guys just look regular. I mean, he's not like fat or skinny. He just looks like an avatar for just generic dude. But she's actually a beautiful woman, and it goes down really good for him. Check this out.
Hey.
What, Dad?
I didn't order any groceries today.
Yeah, you did?
No, I didn't. I know I didn't.
Yeah, this is 150. 150, Acorn Drive.
No. This is 164.
Nah.
No, I'm pretty fine. I didn't order anything. I don't think anybody else here did.
You didn't order that?
No. I mean, I need a few things. What about you leave some stuff and I cook you dinner, and maybe we can do a little trading off or something?
I can do that. I don't do the cash. I'm tired of the job.
Well, you got some good stuff in here. I could make some chicken and some mashed potatoes and stuff. Do you want to stay? Maybe we can trade off for the groceries.
You take all this and make me something good.
Okay. You hang out for a while?
We can work it out for dinner and a movie.
Oh, I would love that.
Dinner and a movie?
Yeah. We can make it like a date?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be fired.
Oh, well, this is pretty awesome. DoorDash.
Probably going to be fired. You sure this ain't yours?
I'm positive. I mean, my roommate, I don't think she would have ordered anything tonight. She's out to eat with her boyfriend, so.
Hey, well, I never get an opportunity to get a dinner and a movie and a dessert.
Hey, I got a date that showed up at my house.
A dinner, movie, and dessert. Sounds good for me.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Just park your truck and come around.
All right.
Get you in.
I got some more.
Thank you. Okay, cool. Yeah, go on and get it turned off, and we'll get the rest out then. Shoot. Oh, heck yeah, this is my lucky day. Thank you.
Oh, man, did you catch all that? I mean, aside from the Zach Bryan band having amazing bass there, but he brings the groceries to the wrong house. And apparently he's done with this job. It's like, screw it, just keep the groceries. I'm going to quit. Well, if you're going to give me free groceries, I'll make them for you. Stay for dinner. Dinner and a movie? Yeah, let's go. And what I like about that is, first, I'm happily married, been so for, oh my God, my anniversary's tomorrow.
I miss Parker.
And it'll be, 15 years? So I've been out of the game for a while, but boy, I have to hear it from my single friends. My friends that never got married, my friends that are divorced or whatever. Oh, man, they talk about how terrible it is. You know how hard it is to try and meet someone else when you're in your 40s or 50s or 30s or however old my friends are. I'm like, no, I have no idea. Actually, I don't know what you people are going through. And it's one thing to have game when you're in your 20s. Like everybody's on the market and everybody's looking. But this guy, this is going to be cute because if things go right, what an awesome story that'll be to tell. Like, me and Miss Parker don't have a great how'd you meet story. It's not like, well, I was delivering groceries and I took them to the wrong house and she invited me to stay for dinner and, we've been together ever since. Me and Miss Parker met at a birthday party, and that's it. And she was like the cutest girl there. So, of course, I'm going to go try and talk to her first. And then it just worked out swimmingly. But this is an adorable story. Won't that be fun to tell? Like, what if they end up getting married and having kids? Hey, how'd you meet your mom? I was delivering groceries, wrong house. She invited me for dinner. Wow, what are the odds of that? That's so amazing. And that's something that's never going to make the news either. All this calamity will make the news. Some teacher in Coppell is getting sued by the attorney general for trying to teach your kids naughty stuff. That'll make the news. The woman that got hit on 75, so they had to block off southbound 75. Did y'all hear about that story? Like, for anyone who has to commute down 75 from like Plano to downtown, northbound, the entire road was cut off because some woman got hit for like 12 hours today. Oh man, I saw that all over social media. That'll make the news. But some poor guy quitting his job on his last leg, who's had it, who's about to just give up on his career and start over. A beautiful woman asks him for dinner, invites him in to make dinner. So that is what could be his lowest moment, may be, in retrospect, the greatest day of his life. Isn't that fantastic? Has tipping gotten out of control in America? Now, I imagine you're probably saying yes, because 90% of Americans said yes to a recent survey on that one. I'm in that 90%. Of course, tipping's gotten out of control. And my next guest, Scott Bardell from Idea Grove, helps us make sense of some of these market fluctuations and situations. Welcome back, Scott.
Hello.
All right, Scott, I'm going to give you my personal experience on just how far out of control I think tipping has gotten. I don't want to name the eatery, but within walking distance of this studio here for WBAP, I've pretty much gone to everywhere for lunch. And there's this one place where it has a self-serve kiosk. It's an iPad with a little credit card. You can either swipe or use the beeper thing where you just hold it against it. I place my own order. I add all the changes to it. I do the payment mechanism myself. I, am then asked, do I want to leave a tip? Scott, who am I leaving a tip to? Like, the ethereal concept of tipping? Like, this is out of control. That was the most 2024 thing experience I had last year. I don't even know who the tip would go to. So that's when I was like, okay, this is so far out of control. The pendulum's about to swing the other way. Do you have any personal experience with this, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea of self-service kiosks being something where you leave a tip, it is kind of the ultimate, end of this craziness is where it ends up. But there's other things like I took my boys to get a haircut, and you know how it is. The person who cuts your hair, of course, that's someone you usually give a tip. And even before all this madness, you would do that. But, she flips the iPad around, and the options are 25, 30, 50%. And I'm like, so if I give my normal 20% tip, then I'm a cheapskate, And you have to do that thing where you have to push the other button or the skip button. So, okay, I guess I'll just go for 30%. This is what there's tip inflation in addition to tipping in very nonsensical situations, like for someone who's just a cashier or if you're just doing a self-service kiosk. It's gotten crazy.
Right, and I'm a guy who, I may sound like a butthead, but I'm quite partial to poor people who live off of tips because for a long time I waited tables and I lived off tips. So, I feel the pain for people in that situation, but like in my scenario, there's no one in that situation. I don't even know who the money goes to. I didn't even see anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and it goes to the larger question of what's going on here. I mean, this all started about 2018. That's when Square and these apps, you could pre-program tip options in the tablet where you're paying, and everyone just started doing it. During COVID, people wanted to be especially nice to anyone in service jobs because of all the travails of COVID. So people were fine to tip in situations where you normally didn't. But now we're like, what have we been doing?
Do you think that was because of COVID, or the timing just was a coincidence?
Well, it started a couple years before COVID, but I think COVID really accelerated it. Because I think there was a lot of sympathy for people in those roles, but at this point, it's like we're just subsidizing what employers should be doing. You know what this Wallet Hub survey showed, in addition to 90% of people saying that tipping has gone too far, is that if their preference would be a system where you could just rate employees on a 1 to 5 scale, say in terms of service, and then the employer would take care of providing them tips or bonuses or that additional compensation. We're subsidizing something that employers should be doing at this point.
Well, I am of the belief that whenever you have the pendulum swinging too far one way, there's an opportunity to catch it when it swings back the other way. And I guess that would manifest itself by, like if there's another eatery around here that's like, hey, you don't have to worry about tipping, no tipping necessary, or tip-free establishment. This could be a feature to entice customers to choose you over the places that are asking you for a haphazard tip.
Yeah, I mean, there's already places I go to where just because it's so awkward, I just take cash so I don't have to deal with it. But what you're saying, I think makes sense. But at the same time, we're talking about, and Donald Trump and actually both parties have been in favor of this idea of taking away taxes on tips. So that's even going to make it harder to get away from this tipping culture. Well,
I think we just need to put our foot down at some point, because this is going to keep expanding and expanding. And the problem I see, Scott, is that never is anyone tipping your local radio host. I mean, I think that's the real problem here, is I'm not in on it, and I don't ever spin around, my debit card machine to even ask for one. So, maybe I'm just jealous.
Yeah, well, it reminds me when I was, I don't get tips either, but it also reminds me when I was delivered pizza for Domino's, and I went to one frat house, and the guy said, oh, hey, and I'm walking away because they weren't tipping to me. And I said, oh, I forgot. And he reaches in his pocket. He said, oh, I forgot to give you a tip. And then he said, be healthy, wealthy, and wise. That was my tip. And he told you.
Yeah, guys, that's not appreciated as a
not at all.
Years-long waiter here in the Dallas area. That we don't share that sense of humor. All right, Scott Bairdell, how can we reach you outside of WBAP?
My agency is ideagrove.com.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott. Where y'all located?
We are in Dallas.
Let's hear your stories. Tyler in Waco. How has tipping gotten out of control for you?
Well, twice in the last week, I've had 20% gratuity added to my ticket, whatever it was. The last one that was out of control was at a bar here in town. In fact, over the weekend, had a few drinks, and they just threw it on there. Talked to the waiter, and he said, this is what the owner wants. I don't want it, and it's causing people to be upset just for it being automatically thrown on there. So it's kind of one of those things. In fact, I thought there was a law against it in Texas.
Well, no, there's a lot of places around here, at least around the studio, that I can walk to, bars that just add it automatically, like Frankie's does. I think Happy Hours does. Or do they? I know Frankie's does, but I always look for it now. Like there's a lot of places that just sneak it in like that. Good call, Tyler. Thank you, sir. This is Matt in DeLeon. You're on WBAP. You got a tipping story for me?
Oh yeah, I have a barbershop, and I have people that tip me, and I own the barbershop, and I think it's just set your prices what it should be and be happy with that. And if you tip is extra, and be grateful for anything.
Isn't there a lane, though, for businesses like yours to take advantage of that? Couldn't you just put that on the sign, no tipping necessary?
Yeah.
Tipping not expected?
Funny. Yeah.
Because if 90% of the consumers out there are sick of it, you could probably get more business by highlighting that.
Yeah. Well, my price is already so cheap, I don't have a problem. $12 for a haircut. Where are you going to get that?
Well, I'll come see you after the show, Matt. I'm looking pretty shaggy.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway,
Thank you, sir. Chavez, Cedar Hill. You got a tipping story for WBAP?
Yeah, I go to a couple of these establishments that they charge you, put the tip on there. Can you contest that legally?
I don't know if you can contest that legally. Now, if I'm paying cash and I got terrible service, I would be tempted to add in everything except for the tip. But I've never been in that situation. All it does is make me just not want to go there next time. And so I have a feeling if people are getting upset about this, that these people are going to be shooting themselves in the foot. But someone has to start advertising the alternative, I think.
Yeah, because they say people over, if you have over 5 or 6 patrons going in, this automatic tip. So that's the automatic $30 tip.
Well, when I waited tables, most restaurants had the rule that it was parties of 8 or more had automatic tipping, and I think it's all legal. You just have to put a sign up or put it on the menu. Automatic gratuities included or parties of over 8.
I had a story similar to yours where you go in, you order at a kiosk, and it asks you to add a tip, and then I go to sit down. And then they call my number, and I have to go up and pick up the food myself and bring it back to the table. If I want water, they've got pitchers on a counter. I have to go pour my own water. And I was like, I should be tipping 25% because I did a really damn good job.
Yeah, you should be getting the tip. Yeah, exactly. Now you got the right idea. Like, and I don't even work here. They didn't give you a T-shirt or anything, did they, Kenny?
Not at all.
All right. That's going to do it for the James Show. Come on out and hang out with us this coming Tuesday. We're having the next James Show listener meet and greet. And it's not just to come hang out with me. I'm not that big of a deal. I think you people need to hang out with each other and meet some other like-minded people. Some of you complain about there's not a lot to do socially around here. All right, fine. We'll do something about it. Come out to Plano Sports Tavern. It's at the corner of Parker and Custer. We're doing it at about 7 p.m. until just whenever. I'm going to have some giveaways. I got a bag of swag here from the promo department. Look, there's nothing immaculate. I'm not giving away a Cybertruck or anything, but I'll try and make it worth your while. And I guess I'm going to have to get some tickets and we'll do a raffle for the giveaways or whatnot. So if you don't want to just come out and meet me or meet some of my awesome listeners, maybe I can bribe you with free stuff. All right, after the James Show is over, I'm going to go put up the podcast. You can find it at WBAP.com, WBAP app, or where you're already listening to podcasts. Also, do me a favor. Find me on social media. Next time you're on the throne, you know what I'm talking about, the handicap stall, and you're just goofing around, killing time on your phone, kill some time with me. Look up James Parker. Look up The James Show. Look up WBAP on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you're at. Follow me, like it, love it, share it, whatever. Mark Levin's next, so stick around. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.